what does this light bulb have to do with our relationship with Christ? Well, let's look at 2 Corinthians 4, verses 6 and 7 to find out. This is the Great Commission Alliance Media Channel. Thanks for tuning in. So let's go ahead and just dive on into the passage. For God, who said, "Let light shine out of darkness," has shone in our hearts to give the light of the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Jesus Christ. But we have this treasure in jars of clay to show that the surpassing power belongs to God and not to us. So, 3 things we notice in this passage. One is that God created us as a new creation in Christ. The second is that God has a purpose for us as his creation. And the third is that God is the one that does the work in and through us. So let's look at that first point. It's right here in the beginning of the verse. For God, who said, "Let light shine out of darkness," has shone in our hearts. This is the same God that at the very beginning of all creation spoke into the darkness and said, "Let there be light." This ties right back up into verse 4. And I'll start actually in verse 3, where it says, "And even if our gospel is veiled, it is veiled to those who are perishing. In their case, the God of this world has blinded the minds of the unbelievers to keep them from seeing the light of the gospel of the glory of Christ, who is the image of God." So, this picture is that there is a veil between us and the light of God that's placed by the little g God of this world. And he's placed it there to prevent us from seeing the glory of God, the gospel of the glory of Christ, who is the image of God. And in the midst of this, that's no barrier for God. He spoke into that darkness behind the veil. He broke through that veil and spoke to our hearts into that darkness and said, "Let there be light." And for us who believe, we let that take root and abide, and there is light in us now. And the second point is he created us with a purpose. He didn't just give us that light without a purpose. I think of Matthew 5, verses 14 through 16. "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven." Jesus has shown his light into our hearts that we might shine into others. And it's this idea that we're not just a formless and empty bulb, but he's given us everything to shine. He's given us the light to shine. But this is not of our own doing. This light, this can't do anything apart from being plugged into the power source. So that's the third part. So we have this treasure in jars of clay to show that the surpassing power belongs to God and not to us. Another verse that kind of comes to mind in the midst of this is John 15. So, "Abide in me, and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit by itself unless it abides in the vine, neither can you unless you abide in me." This is Jesus speaking, and he continues in verse 5. "I am the vine, you are the branches. Whoever abides in me, and I in him, he it is that bears much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing." It is only by abiding in Christ, abiding in the vine, that we can bear fruit. It is only when we're plugged into the power source that we can shine the light of the glory of God in the face of Jesus Christ to the world around us. It is only when we're abiding in him that we can fulfill the purpose that he's put in us. So friends, let's abide in Christ today, especially in this season and every season. And let's look forward to see what he shines through us to the world around us and what change can happen through that. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this content, please leave a like below and subscribe to the channel for more. Hope to see you guys soon.